Yugioh Rivals, arguably the most popular category of characters in the whole franchise, and definitely the most popular group to make yaoi fan art of. That's right, with each new Yu-Gi-Oh, one of the hottest questions is, how will the new rival be? Sometimes it works out, sometimes you get Sawatori. However, going into sevens, we were presented with a very interesting thing, and that is, the rival was not in the marketing at all. Everything was focused around our main four kids, which, as we've seen, has worked out pretty well. But that left us a burning question of how will our rival be when he shows up? He can't be quite the same level of murdering lunatic like, say, Revolver, because, well, he's like 11. He can't really have a super complex backstory in the same way rivals like Kaiba or Chaz do, and since this series doesn't seem to have a lot of magic, he can't have magical connections such as, say, Jack or Ryoga. So where does that leave him? Just hopefully not being Sawatori. But the rival has now appeared, and let me tell you all something. Holy fuck, they just went for it! Like, good crap! This guy's awesome! I didn't really like this guy. So, yeah, let us get right into it. First and foremost, we should establish, it's not like he hasn't been a presence. This isn't just someone who came out of nowhere. He has arguably been involved with the plot since episode 1, because what has Roman been doing since episode 1? And that's following Yuga. She's been taking pictures of him, reporting back to Roa, doing all this stuff at his command. And when we first got his cameo appearance, it was upon us learning there's something deeper going on with the plot. As we learn it, he learns it. Therefore, we get to see him progress with everyone else, and it keeps us sort of in perspective what's going on here. And speaking about what's going on here, let's get right into episode 10, shall we? Let's get right into that opening. Holy shit! I wasn't expecting this! So yeah, it's a very quick scene, but it is the scene. And we all know what I'm talking about. We are talking about Roa grabbing Roman by the arm, slamming her against a wall, and then making it look like she's about to hit him before saying, "I will expose your secret." This scene is genius. Now, yes, it is not the same level of intensity as Revolver blowing up a planet, or Kaiba ripping Blue Eyes, which you could probably sell for lots of fucking money, but nah, he just wants to rip it because he's Kaiba. This scene is much more simple, it's much more something that could actually happen, and that's kind of what makes it scary. All he did in that scene was just grab her and, like, kind of treat her like shit, but that's what sort of makes it scary, is because that's a real thing that happens. You do get douchebags and assholes like this who are manipulative, who are controlling, and do take advantage and abuse the people around him. So because of this, we're now going into this guy with a much more sense of grounded reality than we get with a lot of the other rivals. This guy isn't just some loud shouting douchebag talking about how much he loves to duel. He is potentially a very seriously damaged and dangerous person. And the rest of the episode complements this perfectly. You see, there's a lot of humor, and don't get me wrong, I loved all the humor throughout Rook's duel with the bassist. It was a lot of fun, I really liked the gags, this show is just fucking funny. But if we're on the subject of humor, that's part of why the scene with Roa feels more effective than, like, it is a lot of times in these sorts of shonens, and that's because we've seen these characters have so much fun together. We know how much Roman enjoys being with them, and we see how much she really doesn't want to betray them at the end of the day. And we know how angry and confused they are when she does it, because we've just seen them have so much fun together. So the scene really stings, not just for her, but for us, the audience, as well. But I gotta stop saying but. This really isn't a lot of buts. But what I really like that happens next is that when the betrayal happens, when she's revealed to be against them, you have to really look at how everyone is reacting. Rook is angry. Gakudo is more confused. Yuga doesn't really reflect that. He really seems to want to kind of understand what's going on here, because he, as he said, kind of figured it out earlier, but he still wanted to hang out with her. He still encouraged her to duel and made her the fucking duel guitar, which is actually kind of cool. I want one of those. No, but that's kind of what separates Yuga from the rest of the pack, and what is a nice contrast to Roa. Because we've seen Yuga is not above being a little manipulative. He's not above messing with people. He's not above kind of doing things to get what he wants, but the difference here is that Yuga seems to actually care about people. He wants to have actual friends and treat them like equals, even if sometimes he kind of wants to screw with them. That is different to Roa, who just seems to want to manipulate people to get whatever he wants. And that's a really nice contrast, and I like the fact that it's kind of always at play. Even when Roman is dueling Gakudo and is at her most against the others, he's still kind of like, no, she's my friend and I want to help. And I like when he flat out asks what her secret is. It's not angry, it's not confused. He sort of says it with this tone of, I just want to know. And that really establishes a lot for character as well as our rival dynamic. These are two people who are both fairly similar in that they're both intelligent and they both know how to manipulate people. But what separates them is that Yuga has a conscience and he's willing to act on it and still try to help her even when the situation doesn't call for it. Also, very important, Hungry Roman is best Roman, and I will die to protect that hungry smile. I loved it. So then we move on to this week's episode where, remember where in the most recent two videos I did, I said there wasn't a sevens duel that could potentially qualify for best or worst status yet? Well, I'm not saying this would be on the best of list, but I fucking love where this duel is going. First and foremost, we really need to talk about Roa over the course of this episode. Because what's interesting is that for the first two episodes, Roa didn't have a joke. And if you listen, they're never really playing music behind him. Because Roa is supposed to be on a bigger level than everyone else. But Roa's jokes around him in this episode are not necessarily just based around goofy gags. They sort of have a sense of purpose and point to them. And that is, Roa wants to be the biggest star. He wants to be everything. He wants to consume all, and he wants everything to be the way he demands it. So therefore, he does things to make him seem bigger. And while it is funny, it does also establish character. Hence the point of a lot of jokes in this show. And then we move on to the actual duel itself, and we get the birth of something that is such a huge aspect of Yu-Gi-Oh! Rule sharking! He's rule sharking Yuga! They did it! No. You thought Revolver using meta shit in the last show was the closest we'd ever get to real Yu-Gi-Oh! Nah. He is one step away from being like, Judge. Having said that, the Sevens Roads Magician plotline is a very clever plot idea. For starters, we start getting a little bit more into Yuga's past. Again, the rival is supposed to bring out sides of the protagonist, so therefore it makes sense to get this now. Also, cute Yuga. But then, as the duel continues, you see that this is all still part of his manipulation. He has a plan. Maybe he doesn't think he could win against Yuga in a fair fight. Not unlike Revolver trying to have speed duels go to ties so that way he can try and take Yusaku out in master duels. For too many R's! Roa's thing is that Seven Swords is not a legal card. It was made by this duelist from all those years ago, which isn't really long in Yu-Gi-Oh terms, but from all those years ago, it is a fake card. Now, part of the reason Roa wants to use this as his win con instead of just trying to win is that he wants to break Yuga. That's what I think is going on here. He wants to destroy this kid, and he wants to publicly embarrass him and discredit him in front of everybody. So therefore, being like, this card he uses to win, it's not even supposed to exist. I mean, rush duels aren't supposed to exist, but whatever. And so therefore, he is doing a strategy to intentionally destroy Yuga personally, and that is why it's really clever. Also, just the concept of like, you draw into this card so you can lose because of just rules is such a cool, clever idea, and it really like makes the whole thing with rush duels and drawing kind of just make you want to shit a brick as you watch it, and that final shot of the episode, god damn it! I really like this. It is clever, it is creative, it is taken a time-worn shonen trope and that of the rival and trying to put a new spin on it. And I think it is working out great. I really want to see what happens next with everybody. Everyone is being so well used in this. It's really clever, it's really effective, and damn it, I love it. But tell me what you think about this in the comments section below. And as for this week's TCG question of the week, this is a developing... Actually, we'll save it for next time. Let's just talk about the Megatons. They come out this weekend. Are you excited? Because I'm not. I'm not. Like, there's nothing to be excited for in this tin. You don't get promos. The spoilers that came out sort of tell you that you're most likely to pull shit. The tin is just another more Yugi Kaiba milking, and I hate it. Tell me about that below. Also, I already have Borreload Savage, so what do I fucking care? But that's for that. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me to see the epic conclusion of holy fuck, drawing his ace card will kill him.